Just a rebel with a lightsaber dream. Lost my hand, lost my friend, lost my self-esteem.
What is up, Star Wars fans? We are officially moving on to our next Disney Plus Star Wars series. As you know from our Acolyte series, we're going back and taking on Disney Plus Star Wars content with new eyes, new perspectives, and fresh minds. And after finishing the Acolyte, we have felt empowered to take on the Book of Boba Fett. As many of you may know, first impressions are not always the final verdict. That's why we find it so important to go back and give these shows a second try. The goal is simple for us. We are finding what works, calling out what does not work, and also giving our opinions on what could be tweaked to make the overall story a little bit better. Like I said, every episode of our Acolyte rewatch series is already live on both of our channels by the time this video comes out. So make sure you're subscribed to StarWarsNerd00. Make sure you're subscribed to his new channel, Tales of Peridia is Dead. We are long living Lord Swinski, so make sure you're following Lord Swinski as well. And make sure you're subscribed to this channel, CloneForce97, for more content along the way. After Book of Boba Fett, I think we are going to move on to Obi-Wan Kenobi. So this rewatch journey is just getting started. Make sure that you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos coming out. But with that being said, today is episode 1 of the Book of Boba Fett. Nerd, let's get into it.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people are gonna be very surprised by, one, my ranking of the episodes, my ranking of the overall show, and just my review. And honestly, the complete 180 turn that I had on this show, because when I first watched it, I didn't watch it when it first dropped. Wasn't watching Star Wars or anything at the time. And when I finished Ahsoka season 1, I was like, all right, I'm going to go back and I'm going to rewatch all the Star Wars shows. And I watched Mandalorian, started season 3, and I got a little confused. So I hit my buddy up, Darth Christensen, and he said to go watch the Book of Boba Fett to understand why Mando and Grogu are back together again in season 3. And I went and watched it, and I made it 2 episodes in, and I was like, this is ass. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was terrible. Did not like it. And then rewatched it for this rewatch series, and not gonna lie, I mean, I still got a couple of gripes with the show, but overall, hey, I think I was wrong. I was pretty wrong about this show, dude. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big fan of Boba Fett getting knocked out by Jawas, but at the same time, that is unfortunately a victim of somewhere in a book. I think it's the Aftermath trilogy you mentioned that Cobb Vanth is in, and that's where he gets the Boba Fett armor. But I also did not think that Boba Fett should have gotten his ass handed to him. But after seeing how big the Sarlacc is in episode 3 of it, and looking up and talking to you about it, yeah, first of all, I was wrong. Boba Fett definitely would be exhausted and tired and probably would get his ass handed to him by a couple of Jawas after escaping that giant monstrosity. Because visually, I don't even know how big I thought the Sarlacc was. I just had no real grasp of how big a Sarlacc was and how much Boba Fett had to have done to get out of that thing. So, yeah, it works out.
If you see where Boba Fett has escaped from the Sarlacc, like how far, I guess he's gotten down in the amount of time that has gone by, like, he's gotten pretty far to have to get out of there with all the acids and everything. The fact that he got out of there, everybody everywhere already attributes to it. Boba Fett had only survived because he was wearing Beskar. Because he also had his own oxygen supply, which allowed him to not breathe in as many of the toxic chemicals inside the Sarlacc, as well as dealing with as many acid burns as somebody else would. Because we see immediately in this first episode that when he is escaping, the stormtrooper near him is already dead. Like that person's no longer alive. The cheap plastoid armor was nothing for the dissolving of the Sarlacc, and it did nothing to help them. So the fact that Boba Fett is alive is wonderful. The second thing with him being alive, I love what Disney did here. Like what Disney and Lucasfilm did in this thing was amazing because Boba Fett's survival comes directly from the show Parks and Rec.
Yes. I'm so glad you went that route, bro.
Yeah. His survival, for those of you who haven't watched Parks and Rec, there is an episode where they're doing a filibuster and Patton Oswalt just goes on an entire rant of how Boba Fett is going to leave the Sarlacc and survive.
After a beat, the gloved Mandalorian armor gauntlet of Boba Fett grabs onto the sand outside the Sarlacc Pit.
And not only did they use it, but they gave him a writing credit in the episode. Like this has writing credits to Patton Oswalt. He has done something in Star Wars, and he gave us Boba Fett escaping the Sarlacc Pit. And exactly like they gave it the exact treatment. Like if you watch his filibuster scene and you watch his escape, that's exactly how it happens. So I love that was there.
Dude, I love it. I love him escaping the Sarlacc. The music swelling, bro. Like it makes it. Like everything about him escaping the Sarlacc is fucking peak, bro. I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
It feels like a last ditch effort. Like he comes to and he's immediately like, I need to get out of here. And personally, as a lot of you who watch my channel may know, I'm not a huge fan of Boba Fett entirely. I think he's a character that served his purpose, but I also like where this show went with his character. So to watch Boba Fett be a badass, I enjoyed that because this is one of the few times that we're going to watch him be a badass. Oh, because we see it in Mando when he comes back. And then we see it here in his escape and his survival tactics just to get out. And then obviously, like with all the damage that has been done to him, I find it highly reasonable that he gets knocked out by Jawas because he was barely awake. He had just come to as the Jawas were about to like start stealing all of his armor. And then he's like, no, like last ditch effort. And he's under the twin sons of Tatooine. And you see what that's able to do to somebody like Obi-Wan Kenobi and just absolutely age him up there. So obviously, like, dude, that man is severely dehydrated. He just did this last ditch effort and like it passed out. And had just come to, and the Jawas are stealing his armor. And like you said, that is predetermined because Chuck Ledwig, who wrote the Aftermath trilogy, takes place with like all the contingency plans that they had for after, like if the Empire were to fall and the Emperor were to die, just like we see in, I believe it's the Battlefront 2 game. Like if you play the Battlefront 2 game, you see his contingencies. This is more or less on that and how they're going to rebuild the Empire and create this First Order. So that's pretty much what happens there. That's a series specifically focused on Nora Wexley, Wedge Antilles, Cobb Vanth minorly, and then also Han, Leia, and Mon Mothma. Like that's who we're really focusing on. Wedge Antilles gets his ass handed to him the entire trilogy of books. So that's kind of funny that happens to him, unfortunately. But this is where Cobb Vanth meets this guy named Adwin Charu, and he eventually steals the armor from him, and he got the armor from the Jawas. So that's why it had to go back there.
Yeah, it's
somewhere in a book.
I still just don't like some of the things that they did with Boba Fett. I know that they're adapting stuff from the books and they got to fill in the gaps. It's just overall, I don't think that like Boba Fett works out as a daimyo in this show. And honestly, if they were to do a season 2, I think that they should do it and him realize that, hey, this isn't for me. Because I think that's kind of where they were going at, honestly, because it was just like every time he turned around, bro, it was something else. But this episode was mainly just flashbacks in the beginning, fill in a little bit of the story, and then flashbacks at the end. Nothing really much happened in this episode aside from that. I did like the little flashbacks to Geonosis and all the like little callbacks that they had.
But yeah. The one thing I like in this show, there's one character I like, but it's because of how much I hate them. Like, I hate this character with every sense of my being, and that is the mayor's major domo. I hate that guy so much because, like, if you want to see politics personified, that is the major domo. Please don't tell me you have a figure of him.
No, but I got the mayor's autograph.
Mayor, okay. I was gonna say, like, please do not tell me that you have the major domo. But yeah, he like shows up when he's like, oh, like, what do you have to give? And he's like, actually, you're going to want to give stuff to me. And I was like, send him into the Rancor pit. I know there's not a Rancor down there yet. Spoiler alert. But just put him in there because he is bureaucracy personified. Like, they show up later to talk to the mayor. Oh, my forgiveness. The mayor's not available right now.
Bro, the way he talks just irritates the piss out of me sometimes.
Oh my God, dude. I have not felt this way about a character since Edie Karn. Like, Edie Karn is another character that I absolutely hate, but like, I say this in all admiration for the actor. Like, boy, did they do an amazing job. Boy, do these characters suck.
Dude,
like,
that's how I feel with Reva and Moses Ingram. Like, I fucking hate Reva with a passion. But god damn, did Moses Ingram do a really good job.
Yep. Yeah, they're there to have that role. Like, that's what they were paid to do. And it's like, bro, give them more money. Give them more money. But also, my God, dude, death would be too good to somebody like the mayor's major domo.
Bro, I love the comparison that you've used that all the Twi'leks in this show look like the fucking
like guys
like
from
Little Nicky. I love it, bro. I can't unsee it.
Yep. I don't know. I don't think they'll ever. I think Twi'leks just look better on the page and in animation. In live action, they don't look good, in my opinion. I don't really enjoy it because here's one right here. If I can get the book to come out. I actually just got this today. This is an audio drama, so this is just a script book. But like, this is Lorna D, and she's a Twi'lek, and I think she's a Twi'lek. I'm gonna feel like such an asshole if she isn't. But yeah, so this is Lorna D. Her character's super cool. I have a different issue about this than I'll tell you about later because I'll just tell you right now. She disappears for a while and then randomly comes back. Like,
oh, that's that character that you've talked about?
Yeah, that's the character that randomly, like, she has this whole like story arc. They do like one audio drama about her, and then it's like she disappears, and I'm like, where did she go? Like, what happened? Did they kill her? Am I missing something? No, she went off to go do like a comic book run. Like, her character lives in a comic book run, and then eventually comes back in this audio drama, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I have not been able to keep up with it. That's a different thing for a different day where I've said that Star Wars requires a little too much homework nowadays in order to figure that out. But yeah, I think Twi'leks look better animated. They look like Little Nicky here.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. There's moments in live action, specifically in like the George Lucas era, where they look a little bit better. Because, I mean, this is more of a complaint for the Kenobi series, but like the Grand Inquisitor, supposed to be the same species as the guy that he meets on Utapau. So, back to Book of Boba Fett. The first time I watched the series, I didn't like that he also got captured by Tuskens and lost like every fight that he was in against them. But then rewatching it this go around, I really enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed his training with the Tuskens. I enjoyed him trying to escape and failing and still having to fight them, and him thinking that he had the high ground, and they were like, fuck you, motherfucker, pocket sand.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I love the Tuskens, like, primitive fighting style. Like, I really love it. I don't know what it is about it, and I'm really glad that they decided to focus in on them.
I think it was Closet recently was talking about Book of Boba Fett in a video, and they were talking about the gaffy sticks, and it was like, oh, like he got defeated by a piece of wood, and it's like, we'll see it later in this season. That gaffy stick is mostly metal.
Yep.
Like, only a piece of it is wood, and you only can get the wood by absolutely tripping balls. Like, that's the only way. The only way you can get the wood by being able to experience Tatooine with water which hasn't been done in I don't know how many years, but you can only get it by snorting a lizard.
Yeah, that was a little
And
weird. I'm not gonna lie.
it was a very, but it's also honestly for them to be like an indigenous tribe, like it feels very spiritual. Like, like it also, people might not like this, but if you ever watch like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when Willy Wonka meets like the Oompa Loompas and like they crush up bugs and they're like, eat the
Yeah,
goo. And like
yeah.
that's what it is. Like you're meeting a tribe and you're getting used to their customs. So I kind of like that when we eventually get to that episode, but I love him going off with the Tuskens and eventually becoming one with them. But also, where we've complained a little bit in the Acolyte about going back in time, I like the way that they go back in time in these episodes because they use the Bacta tank. And the Bacta tank is symbolism for Boba Fett. Like it is not only healing him physically from all of his wounds and all of his injuries, but it's also healing him spiritually because you get to see what's in his mind, everything that he's went through after the events of episode 6. So you get to see like him learn himself spiritually. He spends his entire life as somebody disposable to the crime lord, somebody whose life does not give a damn to them, which is why he has that huge issue with Jabba the Hutt and Bib Fortuna. Like, I fell into the Sarlacc Pit and not one of you cared to come rescue me. Like, you immediately came here to make yourself fat and give yourself all these riches to a throne that you have nothing to do with. Like, I helped ensure that this throne could live on. So you get to see him go from this solo warrior to transitioning into being in a tribe and finding his values of strength and loyalty. This transition essentially allows him to, like I said, heal physically in the back of the tank, but you also get to see him heal spiritually. And that ultimately culminates in what we see in the final episode here because Boba Fett is weakened this entire show. Like there's not too much about it. He is a very fractured man. Where like we saw him absolutely kick ass in Mando, but like he only really did that because he had something to gain. He wanted the armor back. So he was able to do that and he had his gaffy stick. But you see that like he can only do that for so long. Where this one is more prolonged healing for him. You see what happens right at the very end of this episode. Assassins come in and they pretty much take on him and Fennec pretty easily. And he's immediately like, get me to the back to tanks. Like, I need to be there right now. Like, he's not healed. He's not ready for it.
Yeah, because there is a point in the episode, not this episode, later on in the series, where the like medical droid says that he is 100% finally healed. So
Yeah.
I find that very interesting. I just don't really like the way that he rules Tatooine. Like how he's like, I walk on my own 2 feet and I'm gonna treat everybody with respect. It's like, okay, nobody gave a fuck about you. Why are you giving a fuck about other people? Which
Yeah.
is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of fucked up. Because, like, if you were to do that in real life, then you're just like an asshole. But this is a fictional TV series about a clone. But I don't know. I do like that. Like I said, I think that if they were to do a season 2 of this show, like this is like Boba Fett trying to be like Django. He's trying to be a simple man, trying to find his way in the universe. You know, he tried being like the gun for hire. Now he's tried being the crime boss, the guy in charge. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just his journey of trying to find his way in the universe, like what works for him, what doesn't work. He's gonna. I mean, either way, he's
Well,
gonna do it, or he's gonna die trying.
yeah. Well, the issue with him as well is like we see here that Boba Fett is not really a fan of like spice and spice running. Now he does do it as a way to like help try to enrich the Tuskens. Like, oh, you want to do this? you're going to need our protection. But he's not really that kind of person where he's going to need to do that to be a crime boss, which is why we see here in the last episode where they're like, okay, like, I don't like when he truly finds himself, you see them cut over to Cobb Vanth in the back to tank. And you're like, okay, this guy is going to be the ruler of Tatooine. I think the age of that being related to a crime boss and a crime syndicate is probably over. I think that they have kind of been like, you know what, we're going to restore Tatooine. And now they've put in the sheriff in charge. Like, they've put Cobb Vanth in charge. If he ever wakes up, we have no idea what happens, but they've put him in charge in a place to rule Tatooine and to kind of get everybody back together. I think that was another thing that they were trying to do with this show. And for a lot of people, it didn't work because they want Boba Fett to be badass bounty hunter, to work for the bad guys and stuff like that. But bounty hunters don't just work for bad guys. Bounty hunters work for good guys too. Bounty hunters work for whoever is willing to pay.
Yep. That's my issue is, it, like I said, it just doesn't, for me, him being a crime boss doesn't work. Him being a gun for hire does work, because if you were to describe Mando from season 1 and 2, I'm going to associate that with Boba Fett. But then when I go to watch the Boba Fett show and I don't get any of that, it's a little disappointing. But if you look at it, like I said, it's like a journey of him trying to find his way in the universe. It kind of sings a different tune, and I kind of really enjoyed it. Like, I genuinely enjoyed this series on this rewatch. Like, it is it is like the only other Disney Plus project that I can see myself rewatching, because I did. I rewatched it. I rewatched the first 4 episodes before recording this.
Yeah.
And my God, did they get even better, bro. I'm not even going to lie.
They just flow smoothly. It didn't feel like this had those issues that we talk about a lot in Disney Plus shows, where it seems like they chopped up a movie.
Yeah.
This feels like a TV show. Mando feels like a TV show. This isn't like Skeleton Crew, where every single time something cool was about to happen, it would cut to black. Or Acolyte, cut into black. Or for recent people, hey, something's going to happen to Steve in Stranger Things, cut to black. And then give us a couple second pause and then cut back on. That made no sense. So this felt like a TV show, and I think that's why it worked. And also, Star Wars is also about perspective. So though he is a good guy in this, Boba Fett is not inherently a good guy. Just like Din Djarin, in my opinion, though he gets along with Luke, kind of, and he gets along with Ahsoka, Din Djarin, in my opinion, is still a morally gray character because of the things that we see him do for money. Like, when we see him in this show later, he's going to either bring somebody in hot, bring somebody in cold, and he's going to do it just for information. If he was a good person, probably wouldn't do it.
Just weird, because, like, reading, like, some of these comics and some of the Legends novels and seeing, like, what Boba Fett does, like, in Dark Empire. Like, the dude shows back up and everybody is completely shocked. Like, Han, Leia, Chewie, they're all like, what the hell? Boba Fett, what the hell? What are you doing here? And he is relentlessly hunting them down. Just because, not for credits, not for money, nothing. It's because, well, I might be wrong, and I'm in the middle of rereading it. If I am wrong, in my edit of the video, I'll put the little fucking things up top. But from what I gathered, he's just trying to get revenge on Han for sending him into the Sarlacc Pit. And then to see him be a crime boss that, like, nobody fucking really respects. They come and pay tribute. But, like, we get in later episodes with, like, the people that he ends up recruiting, the Vespa gang, like, they're like, yeah, go back to your palace, old man. And he's like, I'm Boba Fett. They're like, yeah, we know, we don't care. So it's a little weird, but in the end, it worked out for me. I think Boba Fett was on his way to finding what works for him and what doesn't.
I think to a lot of people, though, the fact that Boba Fett is leading, this does not matter to them because Boba Fett's been a gun to hire. He's not somebody who I think a lot of people would have come in contact with. unless he was hired to come in contact with you. So like, oh yeah, you're Boba Fett. Cool. I don't care. You do not have the fear of having the name Hutt. You are not a Pike. You are not part of Crimson Dawn. Like, you are just Boba Fett. You are just a bounty hunter. I don't care about. We see another character pop up here that's kind of important. Not really important, but he is important in general. Max Rebo appears in this
Yeah, because
episode,
he's
which
one of the
means
few that survived the sail barge exploding.
yeah, he survived the sail barge, and it says so. This is what I'm trying to see, because his story, I already knew he survived, but they did these stories called From a Certain Point of View, which gives you every other person's kind of perspective of the original trilogy. They've only done it for that one so far, and what they have is like episode 4. They do a story for Fail Organa. I think they do something for Owen and Baru. They do something for this Rabbit Jackson in Empire. He actually believes that he's one of the only people that survived. Like, he dipped on the barge before it exploded. As he finds out later, more of his band members actually survived, and now we see them in the Sanctuary Cantina on Mos Espa. So I think that was another cool thing here that I had for this episode. Just a cool little callback. Like, I think one thing that is true for Star Wars is that a lot of fans like to try to latch on to lesser known characters, either just to seem cool or just because they actually think those characters are cool. I think they just look like the musical look, as well as like he's blue. Like, I think it just works for Max Rebo, and a lot of people just like the way that he looks, and they just cling on to that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I liked it. We still got to talk about the giant sand beast that they fight.
Oh, they fight that in this episode?
Yeah, because I have it in my notes that the episode ends with more flashbacks of his time, because it's after the assassins come and, you know, tase him to death, because that's honestly all that I noticed that they did was hit him with stun sticks, and that's kind of lame. I'm not gonna lie. If there's one thing that I can bitch and moan about this show, is a lot of the action feels like I could take my fat ass self walking across the battlefield and not get hit by anything. That's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. The action on the train in episode 2, probably some of the best action we get in this series. But yeah, I got that it ends with more flashbacks of his time with the Tusken Raiders. They drag him in the Rodian that alert the camp that he tried to escape to dig for water orbs. And they come across a sand beast. Whatever it is, it's a orb that when you break it, it's got water in it.
It's a cactus.
Technically, it's a coconut.
Yeah, it's a coconut. Let's see. Oh, no, it's not a melon. What is it called? Black melon. Oh, it's really just called a black melon.
Really?
Black melons were a type of melon, is what we have from Wikipedia. Yeah,
But-
they were getting the black melons. Also, the Rodian had what was coming to them. I don't know what it is. Rodians can't be trusted in Star Wars.
No, Rodians are little they're like Geonosians, bro. They look weird and they're slimy as fuck. So
Yeah. And like, not just slimy on the outside, but also slimy on the inside. Because also, if you've ever played the game Star Wars Outlaws, there's a Rodian who you think is all super nice and cool, and he turns out to be an asshole and tries to steal your ship from you. You gotta kill him.
what the fuck is with Rodians in the Star Wars universe, bro?
They're just assholes, dude. They're full of McClunky, my guy.
But when I looked up what was the name of the creature that Boba Fett and the Tuskens fought in episode 1, I got that it was called a sand beast. But he gains the respect of the Tuskens by defeating the sand beast, and they give him a delicious, victorious fucking drink of water, and the episode ends.
Yeah, he's able to regain all of his health now that he's had water. Water bar has been fully satisfied. But yeah, because that was the tribe leader's son, I believe, right?
I think so. The youngling? I want to say so.
And that youngling's so happy too. He's like, "Look, I have a head. I got it." I thought that was episode 2 for some reason.
No, it's episode 1.
These episodes kind of fly, like they're just smooth. I like them, so that's why I got a little confused here. I thought that was kind of the end of the episode, but I did want to say this though for the episode is that I think a lot of this show is more straightforward than what we had for The Acolyte.
Oh
I
yeah.
think The Acolyte for us, like we did so much deep diving into that. We can have two schools of thought here. Either the show was that bad and we just needed to create headcanons for everything, or the story was so hidden for most people that we had to dig it out. I like to believe the second one because I had
I'm
great
a
time on it.
subscriber to the middle ground of the show
Yeah.
was so bad because the story was so hidden.
Hidden, yeah. That could be true. Honestly, like yeah, that's a good thought. Like you had to realize so much what was happening with like Soul being who he was and them doing it where this one, like this story about Boba Fett is very straightforward. He is a
It
simple
really
man
is.
making his way through the galaxy and healing from years of trauma. Like is pretty much what he's going to do
Yeah,
and then
basically.
ultimately find like the balance of what he wants to be. Because like right now he's I want to be respected, but I don't want to be feared. But by the end of this, he's like, why not both? All right, R.I.P. one of my favorite bounty hunters, but like, why not both?
Yeah, I said for my last bit of notes on this, overall, the first episode isn't as bad as I remember it being. Is it slow in some parts? Yeah. Am I a fan of Boba being turned into somebody who doesn't want to instill fear in the sector that he's the daimyo of? Not really, but we'll see what this series has to offer. The set design, the costumes, like, oh my God. I'm as much as I bitch and moan about Disney Star Wars with the consistency and the fucking story and all that, the costume departments always kill it. I've noticed that. Did not matter if it's the sequel trilogy, the Acolyte, or now Book of Boba Fett. The outfits and the costumes, fucking great. I love
Yeah,
them. There's nothing anybody's gonna say to me that will change my mind on that.
yeah,
See
yeah.
what
The only thing Disney doesn't like is a stretched head. The only person who's allowed to have a stretched head is Kiadi Mundi. Because even in this, we'll see it later. Like Cad Bane's face looks a little small to me.
A little bit. It does. It
Yeah.
does. What else do I have in here? I said there's certain moments where the CGI kind of looked iffy, but overall it was great work on the VFX and the prop department. Did, however, find some of the episode storyline to be a little slow the first time because the first time rewatching it, did not really grasp that it was flashbacks while he was in the back to tank. I thought it was all like happening. It was, I
Yeah.
thought it, I don't know what was going on with my brain the first time I watched it, but watching it yesterday, I picked up on the fact that flashbacks happen when he's in the back to tank. That's cool. But overall,
Yeah.
I give this episode a 7.5 out of 10.
I think I'm right there with you. I think another thing like I noticed later for these episodes is like the biker gang. We'll talk about it then too. But like the first time I watched it, like a lot of people I was like, the biker gang doesn't really make sense. But then I realized like the amount of respect he has for the modders because of Fennec Shand, which is why like they become important to him. They're important to him because they were useful to him at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there. I'm 7.5, maybe like even 8. Like it just flowed nicely. It was good. Let you like it gave you everything you wanted, I think, from a Star Wars show. Like it felt like Star Wars. I like exploring Tatooine. I like whenever we get to go back to that because unlike
It is a
Anakin,
very core
I
planet.
like sand. Yeah, like Anakin, we enjoyed the sand here. We enjoyed the sand people. So, yeah, I had a great time watching it. I think this one, like I said, the deep dives, I've been trying to like find like little things that like maybe people didn't see or maybe some people might not have noticed the first time, but this one, especially this episode being the pilot, very straightforward.
I honestly think this show is just a case of people need to rewatch it and not listen to internet grifters that did
Yes.
not pay attention to the show.
Yep. I think that's ultimately what a lot of things come down to is there are people out there that negative publicity and positive publicity mean the same thing. Like as long as the like bar goes up, as long as the viewership goes up and the money keeps coming in, they'll do whatever and say whatever and you don't really know what they're thinking. And that's why like if you watch this show the first time and you were like, "Hey, I really like this show." But then I went on my favorite Star Wars YouTuber's channel and he did nothing but shit on it, or she did nothing but shit on it. And now you feel indifferent. You were probably right to still like it.
But yeah, for sure.
Don't let other people influence your vision of Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's vision is the same. I mean, for fuck's sakes, there's so many instances where we fundamentally disagree on stuff, like Luke throwing away lightsabers. But
and how amazing The Rise of Skywalker is.
No, I think we're both in agreement that that was just a terrible, terrible movie.
Yeah, God. But I do still like aspects. I do really enjoy Force Awakens, and there's things in The Last Jedi that I like that aren't Canto Bite. But I like Canto Bite better in Outlaws. But yeah, there's things that, yeah, like you said, you and I don't disagree on, or you and I do disagree on, but we're still here anyway, just having a good time, because we're not here to ruin anybody's good time. So if you're watching this and you disagree with anything we have to say, we're not here to change your mind. We're just letting you know what we saw.
Yeah. And from what I saw, yeah, I don't like Boba Fett being a weird daimyo, but overall, I enjoyed it. So
I don't know if I even like the word daimyo or daimyo, whatever it is. I don't think we've heard it before. I hope we never hear it again.
I just call him the mob boss, bro. He's Tony Soprano and Fennec is Silvio Dante. So
heck yeah. Well, with that, I think this is a good place to wrap up episode 1. Make sure if you watch this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, not only for CloneForce97, but for StarWarsNerd00, as well as Lord Swoonsky. Keep an eye out for other things we have coming up. But with that being said, we'll see you next time for episode 2. May the Force be with you always. Peace.